How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
Some idea.
I am not completely like other people.
What do you mean by that?
People dislike me because I am not completely like them. I am trying to do with my life something which few people try to do, and this influences my thinking and consequently my action.
What is it you're trying to do with your life?
Play the piano for the people.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.
is the end? There's a noise inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? Oh, I'm burning in the stone. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone. This is the final time. What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in the stone. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone. This is the final sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? Travel the world and the seven seas. Everybody's looking for something. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to get used by you. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to be out you.
Who the fuck is Karlyn? She's just some sweet lady. She's like in a knitting. She does like a knitting stream. She's like a knitting YouTuber. She does knitting.
What up, guys? Happy Monday. Happy Monday. I can't believe it's Monday. How is it Monday? How is it? Wasn't it just Friday? Wasn't it just Friday like 2 minutes ago? And now it's Monday. Hey guys, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Mondays usually Mondays are an interesting day lately because usually on Mondays there's organizing calls. For some reason, leftists love to organize on Mondays, but not tonight. I feel like what is going on the left right now is a lot of them are going back to college. For people who don't know, college is about to come back into session. People are moving into dorms. Professors are going back to school. Graduate students are going back to campus. And so the left has actually been quiet for like the past couple of weeks. And I kind of feel like it's because they're all going back to college. What that means is there's about to start being a lot of really wacky events that are going to come out of the colleges. And that's good for us. I've been spending a lot of time lately trying to research and set up a whole like tracking mechanisms for all these queer studies and gender studies departments. I've had so many projects to track these people this year. I'm honed in this year. Can I just tell you guys, like, I feel like, you know, I know in theory it takes time to learn how to do things. The last several years for me have been an exercise in kind of figuring out how to track the left, because there's really no one out there that's doing what I'm doing. I don't say that to pat myself on the back, but like I didn't have a model to follow. I didn't have someone that I could look at and say, oh, he's doing what I want to do. No one is doing what I'm doing that I know of. And if you think you know someone that's doing what I'm doing, please tell me who they are, because I want to talk to them. I definitely mean that. I'm not trying to say like I'm so high and mighty and special. I wish there were more people doing what I was doing so we could talk to each other and learn from each other. The sad reality is I'm pretty sure I'm the only person actually doing this. So what that means is I've had to experiment with like a lot of trial and error and throwing things at the wall and seeing what works and seeing what doesn't. And I feel like I have finally got into a place where I really understand my shit. And I understand everything that needs to be done. I understand now how to build the infrastructure. I've learned how to do it through the Center of Left Wing Studies website, through the Decode the Left website. I've learned how to publish the books through the publishing company. I have like all the pieces. So I've learned how to use the AI. I've successfully trained the AI over the last, year or so. I have literally all of the pieces I need laid out right in front of me. And it took years. And of course, that doesn't even count the thousands of hours of leftist content that I've had to watch and assimilate and teach in order to be able to understand how to find out what they're doing, where to look for it, because that's really the biggest challenge that we have. The biggest challenge that we have is not the information being out there. The left has been doing all of this in public for decades. The biggest challenge that we have is if you don't know where to look for it, and you don't know the exact naming conventions the left is using, sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to find it. So if something exists out there in the ether, but you don't know what they've named that thing and you don't know how to find that thing, it doesn't really matter if it exists because you don't have access to it. But the minute that you start listening to the left's content, breaking it down, doing as much stuff as I have, going undercover with the left, looking at all of their propaganda, I'm building a massive archive on propaganda. As soon as you start looking at all of this, you start to see how they're doing it and where they're doing it and what they're calling it. And now I feel like we're kind of like locked in. We've got all the pieces laid out right in front of us. And all we need to do is put together the puzzle. That's it. We are in puzzle building phase. We've even got the border of the puzzle built. We got all the edge pieces. The edge pieces are put together. And now we just need to fill in the fucking puzzle. And we have everything we need to do it. And this year, I really think this year, I mean, it's almost September. I can't even believe it's almost September. But I feel like we're really locked into a place now where we're ready to, and we're gonna expose a lot of cool stuff. And I've got a bunch of projects that I'm working on that I'm going to tell you guys about. But We're not gonna do something important today on the stream. I'm just gonna let you know we're not doing anything important today on the stream. And why aren't we doing anything important? Because we need to laugh at the American Communist Party. We need to do this. Listen, I pride myself on. I will actually sit here and listen to people I disagree with for hours and hours and hours. I don't need to agree with someone to listen to them. In fact, very rarely do I agree with the people I end up listening to, because what fun is that, to be honest with you? What fun is listening to people who you agree with? I would rather listen to people I disagree with. Not only would I rather listen to people I disagree with, I would rather listen to people I disagree with that have the most extreme possible positions, because that's just good entertainment, man. That's just good entertainment. And so I pride myself on being able to sit here and listen to people I disagree with. And so what I've decided is that we need to take a day. And, the American Communist Party and Haas, they want my attention so badly. They really want my attention. Let me tell you what, these assholes really want my attention. So let's give it to them. It's a Monday. Mondays are a light day. There's no organizing call today. This is probably going to be the last breath of fresh air that we have until the end of the year. So let's take a moment to peek our head out from underwater and laugh at a group of so-called communists, because listen, man, oh gosh. I knew the American Communist Party wasn't a real leftist organization. I knew that. I knew that the American Communist Party is not something that is taken seriously by real communist and socialist activists at all. I already knew that. That was always very clear to me. What was not quite as clear to me, because I hadn't focused any attention on it, is just how stupid these people are. And I gotta tell you guys, I've had a crash course in the idiocy of the American Communist Party over the last several days. It is shocking. It is shocking how bad it is. I'm just like, there have been times over the past several days where I've been sitting here going, we are not in the same reality as these people. We are literally just not in the same reality as these people at all. These people have created their own alternate universe in which they think that they are representative of leftists in America. But really, they are so disconnected from the real far left and from real communists and socialists, it's not even funny. But they don't know that because they're all social media obsessed internet outrage whores. Now listen, like one of the things, and this is actually a benefit to the communists, and the communists, the communists are right to do it this way. The vast majority of communist groups and communist activists are not really active on Twitter. And they never have been. Even before Elon Musk, I'm not saying they don't post stuff, they do post stuff, but it's like the real communists and socialist activists are actually not spending all their day tweeting. They're not spending all their day outrage baiting, they're not spending all day clout chasing, they're not doing any of these things. And so they're like, people oftentimes get confused between like social media influencers who say they're communists and actual communists, because the social media communists are the ones they see. The actual communists are not dicking around on social media. The actual communists are usually out there doing stuff in the real world. And then when they're on social media, it's to promote stuff they're doing in the real world. So the social media influencers and the clout chasers, their world is entirely online. That's it. They aren't doing shit in the real world. Not really. Maybe every once in a while, but the vast majority of their life is in Twitter. Real communists and socialists don't operate that way. And so what we kind of ran into, the hornet's nest that is the American Communist Party, is a group of people who are perpetually online, who only exist in their echo chamber, who they're like groypers, honestly. They're like groypers, except that they're like far less productive. It's like they think that the only thing that matters is reply guying on Twitter. Listen, it works for the groypers. The groypers are trying to raise Nick's profile. The groypers are trying to plaster Nick everywhere they can find. They possibly can. Like, I think the groypers are trying to do something different than create a functional political party. Haas and the American Communist Party are trying to create a political party by shitposting on the internet and acting like absurd retards. And by the way, they don't understand what they're talking about at all. So let me take you back. Last week, I covered the Denver communists talking about the American Communist Party, because I wanted to show people that when I say the American Communist Party is not real and they're not respected on the left, this isn't coming from me. This is coming from actual communists and socialists. And the Denver communists released about a half-hour-long video in which they ranted and raved about how the American Communist Party is not on the left and they're actually fascists and there's no such thing as MAGA communism and they're all phonies and this is all like outrage bait and yada, 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 yada. And I played that video on my channel and I was like, see, real communists don't like these people at all. Well, my replies have been being spammed ever since then by internet outrage junkies that are members of the American Communist Party demanding that I debate their leader. And at first I was kind of like, maybe it could be entertaining. But then they just kept being so rude and so belligerent and so ridiculous that I was like, no, 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 no. I'm not involving myself in your internet shit show. I don't actually really care that much. It's not that entertaining for me. You're being rude and aggressive for no good reason. So if you're being rude and aggressive for no good reason now, can I that like this is just going to be a shit show of a thing, and I don't really want anything to do with it. So I said that, and then they issued a press release basically saying this woman refuses to debate Chairman Haz al-Din, and I said, well, there's no reason for me to debate him because he's a fake fucking communist. You should see the replies. You should see the replies. They're doing everything the worst right-wing retards do. Oh, look, they're posting about me and my ex. They're posting quotes taken out of context that they don't like. They're calling me fat and ugly all over the internet. It's like do you really think I'm not going to engage in a debate unless it's actually an intellectual discussion. And you retards think calling me fat and ugly is going to get me to engage in a debate? You think that's going to work? I don't think that's going to work. And so, but this is one of the saddest ones I got. They actually have this meme ready. Can we just take a moment and just think about this? They actually have this meme ready to go. They have this meme ready to say, do you want to debate Haz? Everyone wants to debate Haz. Who wouldn't want to debate Haz? Why are you debating Haz? We are challenging you to a debate. They had it ready to go. So they do this shit all the time because they're obsessed. Clout chasers on the internet. And I saw this and I was like, you have been invited to confront the chairman of the Communist Party. He hosts spaces every Thursday night on X. It's like, I was like, oh, it's so sad. It's so desperate. It's so desperate. It's very unbecoming. My God. I'd rather be thrown into prison than debate an internet retard like Haz. Yeah. Their behavior definitely resembles how the MAGA or conservative rights behave on the internet. Yes, it does. It doesn't resemble how real communists behave at all. Their behavior resembles whiny ass conservatives who are told no and don't want to get told no. So this guy was one of the guys that was being antagonistic from the very start, and he was the one that tried to set up the debate in the first place. And it was so great. I have to just give a thank you to the people in my audience that started debating these idiots on my behalf, because I was just like, I was so checked out on this. I was like, I don't actually really care about this. But you guys started debating them on their behalf. And one of the grievances that they have, one of the things, they were like, this woman doesn't even know about communism. And I was like, oh, I don't I? And they were like, yes, the proof that you don't know about communism is, do you know that communists never call themselves Marxist-Leninists? That was their argument. They were pissed off that I said correctly the majority of real leftist activists in the United States are Marxist-Leninists. Now, Haz and his group of unhinged retards, they fancy themselves as Stalinists. Stalinists do not get along with Marxist-Leninists, essentially because Marxist-Leninists believe Stalin ruined everything and Trotsky was the rightful inheritor of the revolution and blah, 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 blah. All that. So their big complaint with me, they were like, this woman doesn't know communism if she thinks these communists are saying they're Marxist-Leninists. Communists never say they're Marxist-Leninists. And so people in their replies, I got to give a big shout out to Crypto She-Man. Crypto She-Man was on it. Crypto She-Man was like, you fucking retard. Of course they call themselves Marxist-Leninists. Hang on, let's just play a couple clips. Let's just play a couple clips of the things that the American Communist Party are absolutely positive Never happened. So this is the Revolutionary Communists of America. Listen.
Comrade could have. The presentation, he's describing the meeting, right? There's a young comrade gives a lead off. The presentation, which was well prepared and well formulated, the level of depth of the discussion would take most people's breath away. Even relatively inexperienced attendees were able to recite and understand Marxist works and argue articulately from them. All of them had a broad knowledge of everything from socioeconomic conditions and economic history to war history and philosophy. The Revolutionary Communist Party must be said to be able to educate and train its members to a degree that enables them to clearly and convincingly present the Marxist message. Literally, even the newest members, the lowest common denominator, were at a higher level than the average Dane and the average liberal. Despite great diversity of age groups and educational backgrounds, all members, new and old, are apparently encouraged to immerse themselves intellectually and study Marxist theory thoroughly. In addition, they learn to formulate their knowledge as arguments, to write speeches, to debate, and so on, with the result that even a relatively new and young member of the party can be considered a top-tuned, well-oiled machine when it comes to defending the Marxist-Leninist vision. Another observation, although the 2-hour-long debate covered a wide range,
the Marxist-Leninist vision. How funny, because this is a clip of the Revolutionary Communists of America explicitly saying the Marxist-Leninist vision. Look at this Darg idiot from the American Communist Party. They call themselves Marxists and Leninists separately. They do not call themselves Marxist-Leninists. Oh, yeah?
In addition, they learn to formulate their knowledge as arguments, to write speeches, to debate, and so on, with the result that even a relatively new and young member of the party can be considered a top-tuned, well-oiled machine when it comes to defending the Marxist-Leninist vision. Another observation.
So with that clip, this person said, the context is obviously this guy is reading something written by someone outside the RCA organization, which is not true. That guy speaking is very high up in the RCA organization. He speaks at all their events. It mentions a debate, for instance. This is not an RCA member describing themselves. Yes, it literally was an RCA member describing themselves, or an official statement from the organization itself. Yes, it was. The person in the video is very high ranking in the RCA, and he talks at all of their events, and a basic fucking fact check would have said that. But of course, Crypto She-Man was prepared and said, and this is exactly why I posted this other video. I knew you were going to pull up some BS like this is from an article, this isn't a party member. And so this is a video from the Party for Socialism and Liberation. Listen.
You were spitting. That was my thoughts. Thank you. The other thing is, I'm curious if y'all feel like, can a person really understand Lenin without being in a Marxist-Leninist party? No. Like, period. Okay. Because, like, one thing that I was thinking about is...
Oh, so the Party for Socialism and Liberation, which is a completely different group than the Revolutionary Communists of America, they're also saying that they're in a Marxist-Leninist party? Is that what I just heard? Retarded American Communist Party members? And then they kept going back and forth. And then there was another clip, and this is from the Revolutionary Communist International. And these are actually two very high-ranking people in the Revolutionary Communist International. Listen. Oh, you guys, hang on. You guys can't hear it. You guys can't even see what I'm showing right now. Hang on. There it is, starting again.
And becomes isolated, but in all countries, one after the other.
Any Marxist-Leninists that are listening, Stalin and the Stalinists were not Marxists. They did not carry out the policies of Lenin. The real Marxists and the real Leninists are in this organization, the Revolutionary Communist International.
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah? Not only is Revolutionary Communist International calling themselves Marxist-Leninists, they are also saying that Stalinists, like Haas pretends to be and the American Communist Party pretends to be, aren't real fucking Marxists. And these are just 3 clips of probably many clips that we could play of real communist activists calling themselves Marxist-Leninists, which the retards in the American Communist Party just swear, that never happens. That bitch doesn't know what she's talking about when it comes to communism. Oh, really? Oh, really? Don't I? So the crazy comments just kept coming in, and my replies are filled with these idiots. And look, I mean, this is a particularly persuasive one, right? You a bitch. Oh, you guys can't even see it. Hang on. This is a particularly persuasive reply that I got. You a bitch. Is this how we're recruiting people to communism, comrade? This isn't even proper English. You know, one of the things I really do respect about real communist activists is they put education at the forefront of what they do. They have all these book clubs and educational groups and events and conferences and stuff like that. They are always learning. They place a very high premium on education. And from the American Communist Party, I'm literally getting Ebonics. Just goes on and on and on. The amount of retardia that has been in my replies from these people, bro, I can't even. And then actually, you know what's really funny about this? Even the Denver communists have weighed in on this. The Denver communists themselves, whose video I originally watched to ridicule the American Communist Party. The Denver communists themselves left a comment on my YouTube channel earlier today. And I was like, Denver communists, I didn't even know you guys cared. I didn't even know you guys were paying attention to me. I really didn't. I didn't know the Denver communists were actually paying attention to what I was doing. I mean, I guess I maybe should have assumed that they were. But I didn't even know the Denver communists cared. Denver communists, if you want to come on my channel, you are welcome to come on my channel anytime. You guys have awesome t-shirts. I love your t-shirts. I want to buy one of your t-shirts. I'm not even joking about that. I still remember those t-shirts from that time I met that guy, the bald guy with the Denver communists. I'm sorry, I forget his name. But like, I met him at the Socialism 2023 conference when he was just starting the Firebrand Collective, and they have the best t-shirts. I would totally buy a Denver Communist t-shirt. I'm not even joking. We love the Denver Communists. We might not agree with them. We might think they're insane, but I didn't know they cared. They can come on the channel anytime. Jason. Jason is welcome on the channel anytime. Any of Jason's friends are welcome on the channel. But the American Communist Party, the Denver Communists said, funny when you hate the haters of those you hate too. I was like, you know what? That's as close to agreement as we're ever going to get. But isn't that funny? Isn't that funny? You just heard the Bolsheviks were really Jewish? Do you know who told him that the Bolsheviks were really Jewish? I'm going to show you exactly. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I'm on my Queer Marxism account. I need to be on my account. Hang on. I will show you exactly who said that the Bolsheviks were actually Jewish. It might not be the person you think it is. Breaking news, James Lindsay posted last night the real reason so many of the Bolsheviks were ethnically but not religiously Jews is that the Tsar was oppressing Jews so badly in Russia at the time and had been, and the Bolsheviks were promising Jewish liberation. James Lindsay confirms the Bolsheviks were Jewish. Yup, we are shooketh with this information. We are shooketh. But that's not even the most funny thing that happened. So my friend Amalek, who I used to have Amalek blocked on Twitter, and now, Amalek is actually kind of fucking awesome. Everyone follow him. More Amalek. He's awesome. My friend Amalek sent me this video of Haas, and I feel like this will be a little preview for what we're gonna watch today. So let's just watch this video. Let's watch Haas in all of his glory.
We'll be there before you can even fucking think about it. We'll fucking be there. We'll be planting our fucking flag on that highest hill while you are looking up at us like the bitch you are. We will burn you to death with the power of the fucking sun. We will fucking charge at you with the power of 1,000 suns. You will burn in our fucking midst, bitch. You're only dark woke when you're in a fucking basement hiding from our fucking solar wrath. You can be dark woke when you're hiding. Your anime's not gonna protect you. Your teddy bear's not gonna protect you. Your fucking labubus are not gonna protect you. We will root you out and burn you. We don't have to hide behind MAGA. We don't have to hide behind boomers. We are the fucking avant-garde. We got Stalin and Mao smiling down at us from heaven. Who the fuck can fuck with them? They mowed down the opposition. They mowed down the fucking Nazi bastards. They fucking mowed down all those fucking petty warlords. You have no ancestral memory of the wars your fucking ancestors fought in. And the last war that they did fight in, which was World War II, you spit on them and you repudiate them while you praise Hitler. So don't fucking sit here and grandstand talking about racial nationalism and racial solidarity when the only thing that glues together the bonds and wages of association that make a people one people is their willingness to fight together in a war. War is what makes a people. Struggle is what makes a people. Not your fucking 23andMe. You're a bunch of 23andMe nationalists. That's what you fucking are. Pussies. Where did MAGA communism come from? It was literally a response to Dark Brandon. I said only MAGA communism can defeat Dark Brandon. One day later, I was banned from Twitter. As soon as I made that tweet, I was banned from Twitter. And I interpreted that to mean that I had stumbled on a golden meme that they were so fucking scared of. And I launched the campaign through Telegram to MAGA communism, MAGA communism. That's the origin of MAGA communism, okay? I got banned as soon as I coined the meme, and I saw they're scared of this meme. Somebody's got to stand up for the working class of this country, and that has to be us. We have to be the ones to stand up for the truckers and all the people that don't have a seat at the table of the big transformation that's going on. Because you got these PMC fucks in the DSA allying with these lumpen, groiper, degenerate scum creating dark woke, and that's what we're up against right now. You understand? And what's my fucking response to groipers? My fucking response is that we have created our own race. Bitch! You say white race, brown, and we are Tartarians. We are a new race of man. Who the fuck are you to say otherwise, bitch? Every single race on earth was born of bands of people uniting together and dying together in bloody struggle. That's all that fucking matters.
This is either a fed honeypot psyop or a confused retard. Hey, why not both? Why can't it be both, Rottweiler? It's good to see you. I feel like you haven't been around lately. We've missed you. Why can't it be both? Why can't it be both? So that is the leader of the American Communist Party. And so I thought, you know what? The American Communist Party wants my attention. The American Communist Party wants to come into my replies like a bunch of unhinged retards. Let's give the American Communist Party a chance, shall we? Let's actually watch a long-form video with Executive Chairman Haas. And since on Friday, or Thursday, whenever we did this, since last week, I watched a video of, several real communists disparaging the American Communist Party. I thought that it was only fair that maybe we watch Haas's response. He's got a video here that's like 3 hours long. It's from 7 months ago, but I feel like it's probably still valid. The plot to destroy the American Communist Party. I thought that would be a pretty good place to start. He also did a 3.5 hour video allegedly debunking the video we watched last week. He's done another video also debunking another thing that was said about him that he didn't like. Haas, let me give you some advice, bro. Having been on the internet for a while now, people are going to say things you don't like on the internet. And when the only things you have on your channel are videos responding to other people talking about you, it's not a good look. I'm just saying. You just got back from a cruise to Alaska. Oh, I bet that was awesome. I bet that was the weather good. I bet that was incredible. So we're going to watch this video today and we're going to give them a chance. But what does he actually know about communism? I don't know. That is a very good question. If only Haas had more videos on his channel that were recent about what he knows about communism. If only that was a thing. But no, we have Haas responding to other people, and so that's fine. That's fine. We'll watch that. So that's what we're going to do today, guys. But in the meantime, if you want to follow my work, decoding the left, exposing what the left is doing, head over to my Substack. That is Karlyn, Karlyn.substack.com. Now, I've got a couple exciting things coming up. I am going on a couple undercover adventures. One of the undercover adventures that I'm going to be going on is going to be in a couple weeks. No, I can't tell you where I'm going. No, I can't tell you what I'm doing. You just have to trust me. I'm going somewhere really, 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 really good. And I was just talking with someone earlier about, well, I'm not even going to say that. I'm not even going to say that. You're going to have to trust me that in a couple weeks, there is something coming up. This thing is on the East Coast. The West Coast thing is separate. We'll talk about that in a second. There is something happening on the East Coast that I'm going to in a couple weeks that is going to be fuck off amazing. It's going to be so good. In order to go to that thing, I need to travel to that thing and I need to pay for a hotel to that thing. Okay. I also am planning, separately than that, Karlyn's West Coast Queer Adventure, which is going to take me to the bustling metropolises, hopefully, of Los Angeles, San Francisco, Sacramento, Portland, and Seattle. Hopefully. I need to plan it all out. I need to look at the money situation. I need to do all that. Because that's going to be a bigger investment, obviously. We're talking about that as a whole road trip, but the reason that I want to do it that way is there's just a lot of stuff going on in that area around the same time period, where it's like there's stuff going on in Los Angeles, there's stuff going on in San Francisco, there's several anarchist book fairs that are happening all along the West Coast, okay? There's a lot going on. I can stay at your house for free. Awesome. Awesome. Trendle, you'll have to remind me exactly where you live. So here's the thing, guys. I'm going to be doing this undercover stuff. That means you're going to get special content that no one else on the internet is going to have. So if you want to fund the work I'm doing, the very best way to do so is by signing up as a member on my Substack, $8 a month, $80 a year. You guys allow me to travel places. You guys allow me to spend all my time researching the left. You guys allow me to go to these events. You guys allow me to buy disguises and secret recording equipment. Okay? So if you want to fund the work I'm doing, head over to the Substack, sign up and be a supporter. I really do appreciate it. I cannot do this without your guys' help. Did you see their breaking news about Noah claiming that he's been approached multiple times by the PSL? They used to claim that they're working with other far-left organizations. I strongly doubt the PSL has approached them. That's bullshit. Come on. Come on. Anyway, another way you can support the work I'm doing is by heading over to the Red Menace Collective Substack. This is completely separate from my main Substack. This is where I publish books as I'm writing them. So you don't have to wait for me to publish the whole book. You can actually read the drafts as they're coming out. I just published the third draft chapter for my upcoming book about queer Marxism. And the whole point of the road trip, too, is that there are all these like queer historical events and like just museum exhibits and stuff like that. I'm going to be able to see a lot of like queer memorabilia on what you're in Northern California. Awesome. I will definitely talk to you about that. Thank you. I'm going to be able to see so much like queer archive material that I can't have access to unless I go there in person. So this really helps. This trip is really going to help inform, I think, this book. I hope to have the book mostly done by that point, but certainly it's one of those things where you can always go back and make revisions and stuff like that. And if I get access to material that I didn't know about because I hadn't been to that particular museum first, I can absolutely incorporate that into this project. So I think that's going to be really good. I'm developing what I think is the first kind of narrative about the pure evolution of queer as a far left ideology, as an anti-capitalist ideology. I haven't seen anyone else tackle the subject like this. There's going to be companion websites. There's going to be all sorts of cool stuff. Anyway, you can read the draft chapters as I'm writing them. The Stonewall Riot is the latest one that I published over on the Red Menace Collective Substack, and signing up there, which is separate than the main Substack, also does help support the work I'm doing, and I really appreciate it. Okay. enough of that. I do have some surprises that are going to be coming later this week, but I don't want to talk about them right now. But there's other stuff going on that I think you guys are really going to freak out about. But why don't we just get into the Hawes video, shall we? Why don't we just get into the Hawes video? And, you know, we're giving Hawes his chance to convince us that he is wrongfully vilified for his views. Let's see what he had to say about the plan to destroy the American Communist Party.
Been exposed to by now.
Hang on. You got to see the beginning of this video, though.
Guerrillas.
He starts off by calling everyone gorillas. And when I saw that, that was all I needed to see. I literally just watched that last week. Gorillas, guys. Gorillas.
Guerrillas. Comrades of the American Communist Party. I come to you tonight with some regrettable news that I am sure you have already been exposed to by now, which pertains to the treachery and betrayal of two former members of the American Communist Party Politburo. Pursuant to elucidating and explaining and clarifying the laws and protocols established by our party constitution, namely in this case, Article 8, Section 6, which prohibits the unauthorized use of communications and forces all matters pertaining to party business and affairs to confine themselves to the appropriate channels of communication.
So essentially, for people who weren't around last week, essentially there was a schism within the American Communist Party several months ago. And apparently, two of the leaders of the American Communist Party basically told Hawes to go fuck himself. And they released all of this damning information about what a control freak this guy is and about how he's not a real communist. And so now Hawes is saying they did not follow the protocol of the party, and he's basically struggle sessioning them.
I'd like to issue a clarification. In this extraordinary circumstance, in which two former members of our party and our Politburo have decided to illegally, and in the case of the law, not just in the case of our party constitution law, but even in the case of
the little astronaut coming up and waving over his face as he's talking just emphasizes the seriousness of this whole affair. Look, he's engaging in capitalism as he's going. Yeah. More American Communist Party content. Let's go. Let's just listen to that again. I liked the little ding too.
Have decided to illegally, and in the case of the law, not just in the case of our party constitution law, but even in the case of U.S. law, which is funny because one of them seems to be interested in throwing stones in glass houses as it pertains to that. But pursuant to acting in conformity with the laws of our party, I'd like to take note of the extraordinary and exceptional circumstances. There has been a breach in our security and our protocols of internal communication in which a one-sided picture of events, in addition, just outright lies that have no basis in reality whatsoever, and we'll get to that, don't worry, has been communicated to the general public. It is now incumbent upon me, and I am tasked to, on behalf of the executive board of the American Communist Party, communicate to the public in a similar capacity about the full story, the context and the details and the facts that Danny Shaw and John Mollera are leaving out. I've been entrusted by the executive board of the American Communist Party to deliver these facts and this story outside of party official communications. And the reason is very simple. We're not going to demean and insult the integrity of our party by responding to these petty individuals and their individual gibberish. Our party will not lower itself to the status of taking seriously the defections of a few individuals who lack the manhood and discipline to commit to the principle, the basic principle of collective organization that is the foundation of Marxism-Leninism everywhere and anywhere that it has been applied throughout world history. Instead, I will take this opportunity to calmly respond to the various accusations and claims they have made, specifically about my person, in a more informal capacity on my stream, the infrared stream. They have decided to go outside of the party and to the general public, and I will do the exact same thing. And to be clear, before we get into anything, there is nothing I have done in the service of the American Communist Party that I am ashamed to disclose fully to the public. There's nothing about my person or about my character that I am ashamed of disclosing fully to the public. Why certain information has been concealed and not given to the public completely is because the public, in the heat of the moment, cannot be given the full story immediately. It's easy to present a one-sided depiction of facts and a few clips taken out of context than to actually force the general public to commit to the time of actually understanding the full breadth and the full story, the full breadth of events in all their rational integrity and their succession. That takes time. That takes hours. It doesn't take the few seconds that a tweet does. And by the way, because one of the fundamental forms of reasoning that's being used to accuse the party and myself of being a cult and me being a cult leader is that we have these constitutionally established protocols of information and operational security. They are standard procedure for any communist party in history. They're even standard procedure for a lot of corporations. Absolutely, among leadership, you are not supposed to leak discussions. You're not supposed to run to the public or even run to the rank and file for that matter. You're supposed to keep it internal. That's exactly how every party in history has operated. So to say that we're a cult for that is just ridiculous. By the way, this is something that was established in our Constitution, which I'm going to remind you throughout this video. Danny Shaw and John Malera, without having any gun pointed at their head, decided to ratify themselves at our convention. So if we were a cult for having these procedures of how information is organized and controlled, why did they not take issue with it at the convention? Why did they not raise even a single muttering, a single thing then and there? Why are they doing it now? Well, stay tuned and you're going to get the full story, and hopefully things will maybe make a little more sense to you with respect to what their actual motivations are and why they're doing this. But again, to reiterate, the overwhelming majority of the things that they are talking about and saying, if true, which they're not, by the way, would have had to have been true since the very founding of the party itself. What they have yet to explain and justify is exactly why they've decided to do this now. Well, you need more facts. You need more information. That's what I'm here to provide and to give you. By the way, speaking of things that I'm not ashamed to disclose to the public, I have concealed my name for years for the simple reason that these demons and these scumbags that have a problem with me have set the precedent of going after people's families. And I've concealed my name to protect my family. But my real name, which, by the way, is not Ali, it's Ali. Named after Ali ibn Abi Talib, Imam Ali. I'm not ashamed of that name.
My name isn't Ali, it's Ollie, motherfucker. That was so beautiful.
Which, by the way, is not Ali, it's Ali. Named after Ali ibn Abi Talib, Imam Ali.
Ooh.
I'm not ashamed of that name. I've lived my entire life trying to live up to the honor and the respect that is attached to that name. And if I haven't identified that way to the public all these years, it's because I do understand I'm an incredibly imperfect individual. And I'm nothing like the real Ali. I don't hold a candle to him. But I'm ashamed of that name? Absolutely not. That's always been my name. My name is Haz al-Din. That's the name you've known me by. But the name that my father gave me is Ali. And I am not ashamed of that name at all. And I am regarding the doxing attempts by Danny Shaw and John Mahler not as an attack on me, but as an attack on my family. And there's simply no other way to cut it or put it. Now, let's get down to business and discuss what this is all about. I'm going to address this in the order of the gravity of the accusations being made, specifically from the perspective of U.S. law. And that is the reason I'm going to begin with Mr. Danny Shaw, or like he goes to call himself, Professor Danny Shaw. Now, I otherwise would not begin in this order because Danny Shaw is not a person that is worth taking seriously at the level of the merits of his character or his personality. And you're going to discover this very quickly when you get the whole story about who Danny Shaw is and what his conduct within our party has been for the months that he has been with us. The reason I'm beginning with Danny Shaw is because this ridiculous character and this idiot randomly decided out of nowhere to make up a really dangerous accusation. What's the reason for this accusation? I'm just going to lay it on the table for you right now. In all likelihood, the reason Danny Shaw is making this outlandish, stupid claim for which there is zero evidence, and there will never be any evidence because it has no basis in reality, is because he is being compelled to create the public pretext for a federal investigation. A pretext, by the way, federal agencies haven't had. If you don't know about U.S. law, the law doesn't work like how people on the internet try to tell you, that they just do whatever they want without any procedures. If they are tapping your phones and tapping all of your stuff, only the DHS really has the ability to do that, and it's not admissible in court without sufficient grounds for an actual legal federal investigation. They have nothing on us, by the way, but they don't even have the pretext to launch a federal investigation against us because we've actually done nothing illegal, if you can believe it. We've done nothing illegal. So Danny Shaw, for whatever mysterious reason, the reason he made that crazy claim isn't because it even has a grain of truth in reality. It's because he is being compelled, in all likelihood, I see no other rational motivation for this, to create the public pretext for a federal investigation. And the reason I'm telling you that is because I don't fear such an investigation, because the outcome of said investigation is going to bear no fruit, because I am completely innocent of the charge. I am not guilty of interfering in any way in Haiti's affairs. I've done nothing. He claims that we were making plans to run guns through Haiti. Please, provide the evidence, Danny, because you've just made an actionable claim, which you're going to be held accountable for legally.
He was planning to run guns through Haiti? Allegedly.
And I'm going to make sure of that if it's the last thing I do. Give us the evidence and show us the evidence that I'm running guns.
Very Muslim
Where
behavior.
did that come from? Where did that come from? I'll tell you where it came from. Let me explain to you the curious case of Professor Danny Shaw. Now, years before I had ever known Danny Shaw, Danny was a guy who was very interested in Haiti. He would always go to Haiti because he wants to be this, third world reporter. Whatever, I don't care. Again, he's not a person who particularly interests me, right? But in any case, while he was in Haiti, he was desperately trying to, link up with Kim Ives and Dan Cohen, who were there on the ground and in their journalistic capacity reporting on it with all the right connections and whatever. And Danny felt like he was not being given recognition by Kim Ives and Dan Cohen. He felt that they were not giving him opportunities to talk with leaders in Haiti, and that they were kind of brushing him, they were brushing him to the side. He felt discarded. He felt like he wasn't being recognized. And that created a years-long, very personal, extremely personal, and extremely petty conflict between Danny Shaw and Dan Cohen. Now, Dan Cohen and Kim Ives, I'm sure, will testify to all of this. The nature of Danny's problem with them has always been personal. It has nothing to do with politics, and it has nothing to do with their disagreements about what the situation in Haiti is. As a matter of fact, Danny was on the same page as they were as far as their appraisement and assessment of the situation until the personal beef happened. And then Danny decided to completely say that they had the wrong position on Haiti and that he had the correct one. This is years-long beef he's had with them that predated the party. Now, I was never interested in that beef. I don't care about it. I don't care about his personal issues with Dan Cohen and Kim Ives. But there did come a point where our party did have to deliberate and decide what kind of statement do we want to release and what kind of public stance should we take with respect to what's going on in Haiti. Because at the time, there was a U.S. invasion being discussed and floated, and there was an invasion being organized from, I think it was the African Union or something, or the UN Security Council. I don't know. I forget all the details. But in any case, intervention in Haiti was happening, and we were a little bit lost as a party as far as what our position should be. Now, Danny held on to the view that Barbecue is the worst guy ever, and whatever, he's killing everyone for no reason, and he's burning everyone down because he's a horrible, horrible, terrible guy. And Dan Cohen and Kim Ives had a different perspective. And to be honest, after talking to Dan Cohen, I was kind of convinced that his was the more logical, the more rational, and more backed up by empirical evidence and facts. If you want to know where Dan Cohen is coming from, I recommend you watch his documentary on barbecue. Read their work on the matter. But that was my view. My personal view was that I think they had the correct line, which is that, objectively speaking, barbecue was resisting imperialism. Again, I don't know.
Are they defending that warlord in Haiti? They're defending that warlord in Haiti because he's being anti-imperialist? Oh. They're defending a cannibal warlord in Haiti. That's something I haven't heard from a communist before. Hey, thanks to ladies. I need to start this week out right. Here's some appreciation. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the super chat.
Barbecue have nothing to do with it on a personal level. It's just what kind of public line we wanted to take. Like, did we want to... Because you need to understand the full context. Danny was firing off constant articles during the invasion demonizing barbecue. We didn't really think that was like logical to do when there's about to be an invasion under the pretext that barbecue is this horrible, horrible, terrible guy. So we were trying to like, Danny, they're literally being...
Barbecue was a cannibal. And Haas thinks that barbecue was just fucking great. Hang on. Was barbecue in Haiti a cannibal? Contemporary French writers frequently accuse Haitian revolutionaries of cannibalism. Well, yeah, okay, that's not the question I asked ChatGPT. Yes. According to ChatGPT, yes, barbecue was a fucking cannibal.
Invaded right now. This is like on the eve of the invasion of Iraq. Even Saddam wasn't a good guy, but if you're just constantly like smearing Saddam, it's kind of like not the right time or place to be doing that. So that was kind of the nature of the dispute and the conflict. It was because of the immediacy of that intervention that prompted us to sort out and have a correct line about Haiti, okay? And Danny was not convincing me because Danny's arguments were all emotional. All of the facts he was presenting were incredibly inconsistent, incredibly discombobulated and disjointed. And every time I talked to him on the phone or when he was in meetings with us, he couldn't rationally present his arguments in a way that was convincing to us. It really seemed like the basis of his position was just personal pettiness. We were all convinced of that. Okay, that was a huge factor here. But still, we didn't know the facts. So the executive board deliberated, and we said, look, we want to know the facts. We want a fact-finding mission, not to send people to Haiti, but to give Danny Shaw the opportunity to confront Dan Cohen and Kim Ives about what they're lying about.
See, the American Communist Party found the Jewish smear campaign. Am I at all shocked that the members of the American Communist Party are spreading the 4-year-old Jewish smear campaign against me? Now, here's the thing, American Communist Party. Here's the thing. Your words have no power against me anymore because no one gives a flying fuck who I dated in college. Everyone knows about it. No one gives a flying fuck. So, nice try. Nice try, retard.
Because all Danny would do is write articles. They're liars! They're liars! Fine. We want to know what they're lying about. We want to know who's correct and who's giving an accurate picture of what's going on in Haiti. So we decided to organize in private a meeting. Dan Cohen, Kim Ives, Danny Shaw, me, and Kyle. Kyle was coming from the executive board. So was I, but Kyle wanted to be there as well. Okay? So this meeting, it's funny because I really don't know if Danny Shaw even has the legal pretext to release that meeting, but I'm very curious to see if he's going to release that meeting in full, by the way. Because that's the meeting, by the way, where he accused me of plotting to run guns to Haiti. I think that if he released that meeting, something I would not condone, by the way, legally, but if he were to release that meeting, you would see exactly, not only that he's a liar, that's a given, but what has been eating away at Danny Shaw's brain, if he has a brain. You would see exactly why he felt compelled to go down this path. Because Kyle and I were desperately throwing Danny bones and saying, Danny, they just gave us the following facts about, because Danny, for example, would say that barbecue burned down this neighborhood for no reason. And then Dan and Kim Ives would be like, actually, this was a police neighborhood with all these corrupt people engaging in crimes, and they were already in a war, and the police gang allied with some other ruthless, brutal warlord and gang who barbecue. So, there was all this missing context that Danny wouldn't give us, right? So, basically, we would ask Danny, is what they're saying correct? And he'd say, well, yeah. Every single time they would say anything, Danny wouldn't push back. Danny rolled over and fully... I'm not saying there was a debate and he lost the debate. That would at least be understandable. But why I basically lost all respect for Danny Shaw on a personal level after that meeting is because for as much as he's yelling and shouting about Dan Cohen and Kim Ives elsewhere, he was as quiet as a mouse. He had his head down. He would kind of whisper into the mic wherever called upon to talk by me and Kyle. And he was not standing on business. He wasn't saying anything. He wasn't doing anything. He was conceding to every single thing they were saying. And he was compelled to be backed into a corner and just be like, he couldn't even justify himself. All right. He was humiliated. We didn't want to humiliate him. We kept giving him opportunities to defend his position and respond because this was a fact-finding mission. It wasn't a plot. We weren't here to plot about how the American Communist Party is going to take over Haiti, all right? We were here to get facts about what's going on in Haiti. And Danny had a perspective, and Dan Cohen and Kim Ives had a perspective.
Why does the American Communist Party need to be involved in what's going on in Haiti, Haas? There are many communist parties in the United States that are not sending fact-finding missions to Haiti.
And Danny fully submitted and acquiesced to Dan Cohen and Kim Ives, his complete arch nemesis on a personal level, okay? So that is exactly kind of what started things, okay? That is exactly what kind of started Danny's resentments. Now, with respect to what he's claiming about Haiti, that I'm running guns to Haiti, the reason I think he's saying that is because during the meeting with Dan Cohen and Kim Ives, because it was a fact-finding mission, one of the jobs of Kyle and I, we wanted to know the geopolitics of Haiti. Because during the time of the invasion, Russia and China had vetoed the UN Security Council on a resolution to send some kind of army to intervene in Haiti to deal with the situation. So all I did, I'm going to repeat myself, and they will confirm this, by the way, and I hope the FBI or whoever has the Zoom meeting and whatever, because you will see that all I did was ask, basically, in so many words, all I did was ask, hey, what do Russia and China think about this guy, Barbecue? Like, do they have a position on Haiti right now? Because they did that thing at the UN Security Council. So, like, what is their... And I was even very careful about the way I asked that question. Because, you know, I didn't know if some information was confidential or whatever. So I was even very careful in how I phrased that incredibly legal and innocent question. I don't know how you go from there to making this claim that we're plotting to run guns to Haiti. I don't know how you make that leap. I don't know what the point. That's why I'm saying that I think the reason he made that incredibly drastic leap in reasoning and inference is because he has been tasked and compelled with the job of creating a public pretext for a federal investigation, which there is literally none right now, okay? He has publicly made an accusation that is accusing me of a crime, basically, right? And that is something the federal agencies and authorities have to take seriously. So now there is a public pretext for a federal investigation. There wasn't that there before, okay? By the way, the meeting happened November 1st, so this happened early November. And Danny, this very upstanding, honorable, principled person, revealed no intention to anyone that he would ever take things this far because of Danny told the entire Politburo that he acquiesces to the outcome. And, you know, let's keep on rolling, comrades. Let's keep on rolling. Let's keep on going, comrades. We can do it. Like, you have to understand what a snake this guy is. Not a peep.
Jay, I'm just checking your channel history real quick. First time Jay has ever been on the channel. Why do I get the sneaking suspicion that you're not being above board, Jay? I'm curious if people here think Democrats are reasonable and should represent leftist sentiment. Are you retarded? Are you retarded? I'm curious if people here think Democrats are reasonable and should represent leftist sentiment. Why on earth? Okay. It's not a serious conversation, bro. Jay, I am a literal fucking fascist. I want to ban a lot of different types of speech in this country. Do I think the Democrats are reasonable? No. The Democrats want to promote the speech I want to fucking ban. I want to prevent these people from being teachers in schools. I want to burn all their fucking books in a bonfire. I do not think that Democrat policies are reasonable.
Before late December about
How
anything.
Retarded.
Not a peep. Okay, November 1st, this is really where his issue comes from, if it's a personal issue. He claims that he was lied to, manipulated, and tricked into meeting with Dan Cohen and Kim Ives. Danny, whatever issues you had, you could have told them. You could have told us. See, look, you need more context. Danny was feeding Kyle and the rest of the Midwestern Marx crew a lot of, like, slop about Haiti. And, like, a lot of bullshit, basically. And they were believing it because he's their friend, and why wouldn't they believe it? And Kyle was there during the meeting and saw how all these other facts Danny was leaving out that Kim Ives and Dan were giving us. And Kyle actually got visibly pissed. because he was just like, Danny, what the fuck is wrong with you? He was even getting more aggravated and pissed by the fact that Danny wasn't speaking up and standing on business and actually like explaining himself or pushing back on anything Kim Ives and Dan Cohen were saying.
Okay.
So Kyle's there.
So Hawes is running drugs to Haiti or guns to Haiti or something. Let's see. Hang on. Using the ACP for money. Let's fast forward to other. Look at all the different grievances in this video. Oh shit. All right, let's fast forward. Make sure we're in the right place. Okay. I don't care about the Haiti stuff. I feel like we got a basic Maison Sen, Haas. Are you or are you not using the American Communist Party for money? Is the question. Load, YouTube. What the fuck? And it's frozen. It's frozen. It's over. It's over. We're never watching this video. YouTube is frozen. Okay, 3240. Hang on. Reloading. YouTube.
Been exposed to by now, which pertains
seriously
to the treachery and betrayal
YouTube?
of two former members of the American Communist Party Politburo, pursuant to Strike 300.
Others.
The thing that is half season that we want to.
Yeah.
So, all right, we don't show it to the. I think the part got edited out where it's being shown to the camera. But let me see. Am I holding it right here? It's a small piece of shrapnel. I mean, I guess it means nothing if you lack the context. Any of it. You could just say it's a rock, right? But it's there. It's like 33 minutes in. It's not very big. I think he might have edited that out. I don't know. Because we were talking about it, and I think I said something very dark, maybe. I was like, we are entering an era where this is becoming normal, and it was very dark and pessimistic. Maybe it was no good. I don't know. I'll ask. But there was a piece of shrapnel we had from the strike 300 meters away. So let's see. He has 3 articles. Let's just go through it. You know, he calls me a fraud, a coward, a liar, a sadist, a loose cannon, a narcissist. Based on what? Kind of just sounds like your opinion, dude. He has used us all to try to make more money and to get more clicks and clout. I have made people have donated to this stream alone way more than on average. So you have actually done that. All right. I've actually been losing a lot of money because of my work in the party, believe it or not. I've been struggling financially, believe it or not. Okay, so that's just total nonsense. He's completely adverse to working with others into membership. I think that's what he means. I am the chairman of the executive board of the American Communist Party. I am talking to the executive board every hour minimum of every fucking day that I'm awake, okay? To say this is baffling, all right? I'm not working that closely with him. He's not even my deputy. By the way, if you need to understand how our party's structured, thank you, Yellowstone. It's all in our Constitution, which apparently doesn't matter anymore because they disagreed with how it was drafted, and yet they raised no concerns or issues about how it was drafted, like at the time of, at all. But in any case, I've just been doing my job as enumerated within the Constitution, all right? Which is to work very closely with the executive board and my deputies. Danny Shaw was not my deputy, all right? He was a deputy, I believe, of Chris and not me, okay? That's why I wasn't working very closely with him, except on matters that actually were relevant, like the Haiti thing, you know, where there was a contention that we had to discuss. And by the way, look, I am not somebody who just like makes decisions and says, screw you, you know, all that often. I am somebody who tries to make sure we're all on the same page. So I sensed there was tension about the Haiti thing. By the way, the Haiti thing, if you don't know, has nothing to do with arms smuggling, but a dispute about the facts of what's going on the ground that was between Danny and Dan Cohen and Kim Ives. And me, for that matter, because I was more convinced by them than Danny. And if you ever watched that meeting we had, you would understand exactly why. Yeah, look, I don't know what to say when it comes to this nonsense about I'm not a team player or whatever. It's just complete nonsense, all right? I have to work very closely with 7 other people every minute of every fucking day, all right? It's just nonsense. And look, when I was talking about the financial issues or whatever, look, I'm not telling you this because I'm asking you guys to throw all your money at me. I'm just telling you that to show you how ridiculous the claim that I'm in this for money actually is. It's completely ridiculous. If I was in this for money, why am I losing money and struggling financially? You know? It's complete nonsense. So October 11th, he claimed that I was sat on a throne where the 2 were elevated high above them. I don't even know if I look stupid by responding to that.
Wait. Hawes created a throne for himself so he could look down on the people he was talking to?
The reason Darg is laughing in the chat because he was there was no throne. There was a living room. I don't even know if I was sitting on a single chair. I think I was sitting on a couch. I don't remember. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know what this throne was. It was an Airbnb living room, okay, where we had the TV in front of us and we were working on the Constitution. Well, I'll get to that in John's, by the way, when I address John. They were the only 2 invited to speak. I don't know what he's talking about. There were plenty of us there. They bragged about their contacts with oligarchs in Russia. Again, I don't know what the point of making up these lies is, except trying to create the public pretext for a federal investigation. Nobody was talking about any fucking oligarchs, okay? We were talking about comrades we have in Russia and how cool they are, but I don't know why, okay? I don't even need to address this because if you had such a fucking problem with it, you should have opened your damn mouth. Danny Shaw, who's a full foot taller than I am, who's...
Okay. I just want to point something out. When I was at the Socialism Conference in 2023, they had a massive bookstore at the Socialism Conference. One of the books they had was about this thick. It was a huge, massive book. And in that book, they broke down how to manage conflict within the group. And there were all sorts of procedures for managing conflict and worksheets for managing conflict and all of this stuff. I really should have bought that book. I thought I didn't think about it at the time, but I probably should have bought that book the amount of times I've been referencing it, because it was a giant book with all the ways that socialists and communists work out conflict. I bring this up because when real socialist and communist groups have infighting and conflict, which they do have, it is not handled like Hawes is handling this. I understand that Hawes was upset that some people who were part of his inner circle said some things that he didn't like, but if Hawes was an actual communist and was actually involved in leftist circles, there is no way in this universe he would be handling this conflict by doing an unhinged live stream on the internet. That wouldn't happen. There would be all sorts of private discussions. It wouldn't be for public consumption. He's not going to, this is like the most like non-communist thing he could possibly do. Yeah, I don't remember, honestly, two ladies.
6'8". You should have said something instead of acting like a coward. You shut your mouth and you were completely silent the entire time. You didn't even raise a peep. You didn't even raise a muttering, a semblance of a concern that you didn't like that I was sitting on a grand throne. I don't even know where you're getting that from. But even if it was true, I don't know like where that's coming from. I don't know why you didn't say anything then. He claims I raised every objection. He raised every objection.
This is sad.
He didn't say anything. He was whispering into the mic. What do you mean you raised every objection? I'm going to try to stay calm, all right? He says I have zero experience as a leader. That's not wrong. as a leader of a party, I have zero experience. I'm not denying that. I am just trying to do my best in terms of following the rules and following the Constitution and the powers enumerated within that Constitution to me. I'm not claiming I'm a great leader and I'm perfect and I know, I have all this experience. I'm 28 years old. He's right. But we need to be precise with critiques.
Old?
If you want to make a critique of me, make it concrete.
He's only 28 years old? I thought he was way older than that. I'm not going to lie. I thought he was easily well into his 30s.
Don't make these vague generalizations about, oh, he's a cult leader, he's this or he's that. Back that up with something specific. And it's a common theme you're going to get throughout this entire stream where I explain to you what happened, that they don't do that.
Okay, I think we've got the basic Maison set of this particular stream. I don't want to hear it. Like, Haas isn't even making good arguments. He's not being clear about what is actually being talked about. So let's watch something else. Let's watch something else. Why don't we watch a little bit of... Well, this is based on the video we watched last week. So let's watch a little bit of this video and see what Haas says in it. Just for shits and giggles. No, Mayo, if I was looking for a group, I would never join this. There's so many red flags. Yeah, there's a lot of red flags. Okay, so the video we watched last week was from someone named Socialism for All. And now this is Haas responding to the video that we watched last week.
So, before we get into the actual video, let me talk about Socialism for All and why Square One, you shouldn't take anything he says seriously about our party or about anything ACP related. A priori, it has no credibility or significance. I'm going to be exposing his lies for educational purposes. Because if there are any people that watch him for his audiobooks who are deceived and fooled by what he's saying, I'm doing this for you, to give you a chance to see the light of day and see the truth. That's who I'm doing this for, okay? It's very benevolent of me, by the way. But a priori, what he says is devoid of substance and is worthless. Because he is literally a non-party simpleton, okay? So in 1912, Stalin wrote about the non-party simpletons. And let me read it to you, okay? What is non-partyism? So at the time, he's saying there are landlords and peasants, their interests are antagonistic, a struggle between them is inevitable. But non-partyism ignores this fact. It wants to hush up antagonisms. In Russia, there are bourgeois and proletarians. But non-partyism glosses over the antagonism of interests. It shuts his eyes to the struggle. Every class has its own party with its own program and complexion. Parties direct the struggle of classes. Without parties, there would be not struggle but chaos, absence of clarity, and confusion of interests. But non-partyism abhors clarity and definitiveness. It prefers nebulousness and the absence of program. So, what is the aim? To unite the ununitable, to bring about the impossible. So, let me explain the non-party simpletons of our current era, right? Because the ones that Stalin were talking about were these petty bourgeois intellectuals who thought that by the deign of their newspapers and voicing their individual opinions, they're somehow going to affect reality meaningfully. The subject of discourse, if you are a communist, is collective organization. That's the subject of discourse. It is not metaphysics. It's not metaphysical truth or metaphysical falsehood. It is practical and collective organization. If you have not proven that you are capable of entering into a collective association with others and putting your line somehow to the test, not just speculatively, not just hypothetically, but the position that you represent, somehow putting it to the test, or at least concretely proposing, and I say that concretely, proposing your line in a way where the subject is collective organization, your opinion is metaphysical and it's worthless. Your position needs to be reflected in some kind of practical plan or practical stance that is collective. What you represent at least has to be a hypothesis about what is to be done, okay? If that's not the subject of your discourse and you're just gossiping and shit-talking other parties, what position of conceit are you coming from? You are just a individual in the Green Party, I think. This guy's in the Green Party. What does your position actually amount to and represent? What are you communicating to your audience? Sit back and look at how they're doing it wrong? But saying that we're doing it wrong necessarily implies that you have a grasp of what it looks like to do something right today in America in 2025. That's what that implies. If you can know something is a wrong practice today in America in 2025, you should know what a right practice is. You should test your position. You should have skin in the game and actually show us how it's done in practice. Everything should always be reduced to its practical significance and consequences. Everything else is metaphysics, okay? This guy is not in a party, and he's calling himself a Marxist and a socialist. His audience aren't in a party. I don't understand what the point is. Like, what are you actually saying when you're talking our party? That our party's bad and it's not doing it right? Then what does it look like to do it right? Show us. Prove it in practice. Put up or shut up. Literally, put up or shut up. If you can't actually show us what success looks like, literally shut your fucking mouth and sit back down. Sit down and shut the fuck up. Your opinion is worthless. A priori, it's worthless. It's not even a critique. A critique is constructive. A critique is about analyzing the dialectical coincidence of, the appearance of a thing and the essence of a thing, and how those relate to each other, and how those are discontinuous. The real mechanisms behind a given determination, the real processes and contradictions that underlie a given determination. That's what criticism is drawing those out, okay? That is a necessarily constructive procedure that yields positive insights. I guess it's easy to on us and talk about how flawed we are, but we are a party and we are doing something and we are putting it to the test, and we have only existed for 5 months. You are an anonymous party on the internet who reads audiobooks. You have nothing to show for anything. You have no grasp of Marxism.
Wow.
I've proven that before, and I'll be happy to prove it again, by the way, tonight.
Debate me, bro.
You have
Debate
nothing
me.
to offer. Your position is completely empty and bankrupt. It doesn't represent anything concrete. It represents this petty bourgeois individualistic position of conceit, as if you're superior to the entire f***ing world because you're anonymous and you're doing nothing in real life. So that makes you superior because you could never possibly fail because you don't have any skin in the game in the first place. Of course, the biggest winner of all is the person who doesn't even try because there's no possibility of failing because you're not even fucking doing anything. That's superiority? No, it's not superiority. It means you're worthless. It means your opinion is worthless. It has no weight. You don't even have a right to talk. You shouldn't have a right to talk, I should rather say. It's incumbent upon me to teach young Marxists and new Marxists, for that matter, that people who talk without having any kind of practical consequence underlying the subject and content of their speech do not have that right to be taken seriously within Marxism. A goofy guy like me, who's done so many goofy things as a streamer, has a right to talk about Marxism because I've always had a practical and concrete prescription that's underlying everything I'm saying. I've always had this CPUSA 2036 strategy.
Wow.
Now it's ACP. Never did I idly just throw out a position that is just a metaphysical whatever. I've always said, this is our strategy. This is our path to victory. This is what we should do. Join the Communist Party. I've always said that. If you're not in a Communist Party or in the process of building one, you don't have a position that is of any relevance or concern to Marxism or to the communist tradition, for that matter. So many of these petty bourgeois individualists just have this idea that they can be communists by virtue of their opinion. That's not true. Anyone can have a fucking opinion. Put it to the test. being a communist implies a practical commitment to something. It doesn't just mean you're living off of YouTube videos, recording audiobooks, and becoming a Keemstar drama gossip channel about smearing other parties and whatever. Okay? So that's just the preface, okay? If you thought that's harsh, let's get into the actual video. I mean, like, right before getting into anything, too, I just want to say, it's really funny how, I'm going to tell you the biggest mistake this guy made.
They're all short, for the record. And listen, no shade on shorter men. I don't mind shorter men. My husband is not the tallest man in the world. That's totally fine. Never mattered to me at all. But I do think it's funny. Like, Hawes is incredibly short. He's tiny. You've got Eddie here, who's a wrestler. They're all tiny. They're all little tiny manlets. And again, no shade. Personally, it doesn't matter to me. But oftentimes, exactly, this is what I'm getting at, Suzanne. Exactly. This is what I'm getting at. Oftentimes, men who are shorter will develop a complex related to their height, also sometimes related to their penis size, because sometimes that's corollary, and sometimes the complex that they develop because they feel as though they're not tall enough or whatever, it manifests itself in odd ways. They can become aggressive, they can become toxic, they can become absurd, just like many members of the American Communist Party have become in my replies over the last several days. And I just think that, Napoleon complex is real. It's a real thing. And I just want to say to the shorter men of the world, just own it. You don't have to feel self-conscious about your height. The only time your height is really a hindrance is when you allow yourself to get turned into a toxic dirtbag, because you're so pissed off that you're short that you end up being ridiculous with like every person around you, and you're aggressive and you're hostile for no reason and all that stuff. No one likes that. It's not that you're short, it's the behaviors that are happening as a result of you having feelings about you being short. So just own it. No one really cares.
Another thing about Marxism, beyond, the at least when it comes to communism, the practical commitments that implies, Marxism's notion of truth is distinct from the bourgeois epistemology in the sense that it's not a vulgar empiricism. But as Mao said, it is based on, seeking truth from facts. It's about substantiating your claims with evidence, right? It is scientific in that sense, at least. But this person is not a Marxist for no other reason than the fact that they didn't even deign to investigate any of the content of what they're covering here to make sure that they're getting the facts straight. They saw these former members of our party talk smack about it with no evidence, by the way, providing no receipts, and because of this person's outstanding biases, that they deeply resent us and they're against us or whatever, they and all the comments they approved, by the way, this person manually approves comments because they're a coward. They just decided that these people were correct uncritically. They said, yeah, everything they're saying is true because it's negative information. Well, that is an un-Marxist bias that you have. If you are a Marxist committed to truth, you shouldn't let your presentation of the facts be clouded by your biased and deeply subjective feelings and sentiments about us. If you are going to actually engage in a critique of the American Communist Party, you should make sure you weigh, different conflicts of interest, different biases maybe. Is Danny Shaw biased? Is John biased? Is Bree biased? What actually happened? Did I fully investigate that? Do I know? Or am I just getting their side of the story and uncritically assuming that is the entire truth? Again, it's just disappointing. I mean, how do you expect to be taken seriously as a Marxist, somehow a Marxist educator, when your idea of reporting on something that happens to another party is uncritically taking at face value what a handful of wreckers say and not even caring to see if they are lying or if they're biased or if there's another side to the story. I mean, it's really pathetic, actually. In any case, this person is clearly an
Haas, do you know what I think is pathetic? Do you know what I think is pathetic? Is I would have actually been hoping, I would have been open to having a conversation with you. I would have been open to having a conversation. I would have been open to having a debate. I would have been open to having a discussion. I would have been open to some sort of interaction, Haas, where you could have told your side of the story and you could have gotten the information out there. And, you know, I personally don't really care. If you guys are all infighting with each other, I don't really care. I'm just here for the drama, Haas. Like, you could have come and just had a good conversation about this with me. Do you know what I think is rather pathetic, though? Your own people ruin that by behaving like unhinged retards for no good reason. Darg came into the chat and he was insulting and aggressive for no good reason. Darg then followed up and insulted me in my DMs for no good reason, while demanding that I take time out of my schedule to talk to you. And now my replies on Twitter have been inundated by the unhinged retards that are in your party for days and days and days. And, you know, I don't so much care in so much as, like, does it bother me personally that they're calling me all sorts of names and, you know, spreading smear campaigns and doing that, which, quite frankly, seems like really ridiculous behavior because you're told no when you don't want to be told no. But personally, I don't take it seriously. I've had people insulting me on the internet for years. It doesn't really faze me all that much. But do you think that's a good representation of what the American Communist Party is, Haas? Do you think that's a proper representation of what the American Communist Party is? That you guys no, they're not Marxists. No. They're not Marxists in any way. They're not Marxists. They're not communists. It's all a fucking LARP. I watch real Marxists all the time. What Haas and his band of unhinged retards are doing has literally nothing to do with Marxism. It has nothing to do with communism. It has nothing to do with real leftist activism. They are completely rejected from the far left, like it has nothing to do with it. They're internet clout chasers, nothing more. What's the difference between a communist and an internet clout chaser? A lot. A lot. And so, Haas, you can talk about, like, regrettable behavior all you want, but I think my replies have been filled with regrettable behavior from you assholes for, like, the last week. Almost.
Unprincipled grifter, in the real sense of the word, who is just, trafficking in hearsay and garbage and shit.
Well, if they all seem the same to you, that's just a reflection of the fact that you don't know anything about the real far left and you don't know what real communists are, and you're welcome to come back to the channel and learn about real communists and real socialists if you actually care about doing that. But the fact that you think that this is real communism and socialism means that you have no fucking idea what real communism and socialism actually looks like, and people in my chat will confirm that for me.
Just for the purposes of trying to demean our reputation as a party. If he just wants to say that he disagrees with us about Russia and China, that would be principled. If he just says, I don't agree with him about Russia and China, just be honest then. The fact that we don't share your line about Russia and China and all these other cultural issues, by the way, doesn't give you the right to run with a bunch of lies and smears about us just because it happens to conveniently damage our credibility if true, right? No, you should be confident in your arguments on the basis of their merit when it comes to questions of Russia.
Bro, I'm gonna give you a piece of advice. If you want to stay in my chat, then saying stuff like this is not going to be to your benefit, because we actually take this seriously here. And when people who don't know what the fuck they're talking about come in and they go, this is all the same and they're just all clowns, you look as retarded to us as Haas looks, to be quite frank. You are showing no intellectual curiosity. I don't know that you're smart enough to actually follow my normal leftist content. You're not making a good first impression, I'll tell you that. So you might not like Haas, but you don't know shit about the far left. And if you continue shit posting in my chat and going, I just think they're all mentally ill, that just tells us that you've been listening to a lot of retarded influencers, and you should really stop that. Being stupid is not actually cool. You guys understand that, right? Being stupid on a topic does not make you cool. It's not something that we respect. It's not something that I support on this channel. I don't want this type of bullshit in my chat, okay? Either be here to learn, ask questions, actually come away doing something productive, or get the fuck out and go back to Fox News.
China, and culture issues. You shouldn't have to rely on demeaning your opponent's credibility and reputation in order to convince and persuade people that your position is correct. Is that not a principled Marxist stance, by the way? 101?
Hey, welcome to Socialism for All. Today's date is January 23rd, 2025. And
by the way, this guy up big time, because look what we did exposing Danny Shaw. I mean, he made a big mistake. He let his biases cloud his judgment. He took the words of these records at face value. Look what just happened, Danny Shaw getting exposed. He uncritically took that at face value himself because it conveniently fed into his narrative and reinforced his biases, just because he's not confident enough in his actual theoretical disagreement that he has with us. He has to resort to these unsubstantiated smears and slanders against our credibility and reputation.
About 6 months ago, a group of reactionaries pretending...
He got his 10K video views. Look at his channel. This is by far the top performing video on his channel since the last video he made about us. All the top videos on his channel have our names on it. That just shows you who matters, because the American Communist Party matters and is doing...
Guys, the thing that makes him matter is YouTube views on another channel. You guys know the types of videos I love to find more than anything else. It's the videos on the small little channels that no one else has ever heard of. The videos that no one watches. When we watched this video from the City University of New York last week, in case people missed it, you can head over to my Substack. You can also find this on my YouTube channel. We literally watched a bondage presentation about a bootlicking fetish at the City University of New York as part of a program for students. Okay? When we found this video, which is representative of what students at the taxpayer-funded City University of New York are being taught by a bunch of queer Marxists, when we found this video, it had 32 views on YouTube. 32. It had no views at all. And these are the types of videos that I love, because these are the types of videos where we always get all the good stuff. They're always saying the quiet part out loud. And they're always the videos of things that happened in the real world, like a real world class or something like that, that no one bothers to listen to because people on the internet are just looking for entertainment, and people on the internet just want to have their quick fix outrage, addicted content like fed to them. They're not looking for stuff like this. And so when we find stuff like this, we find some of the best clips of the far left that you have anywhere else on the internet. And so anytime I hear someone like Haas that's talking about, someone is important because of YouTube views. They have more views on videos about me than any other video. It's like, real communists don't think like that. Real communists don't operate like that. This is the mentality of a grifter. This is the mentality of a YouTube clout chaser or a social media clout chaser. This is someone that's... and I saw this with Haas's audience too. With Haas's audience, they were all up in my replies going, "You're not even relevant. No one's liking this tweet." And it's like, oh, God. Your success depends on Twitter likes and Twitter retweets. And it's like, oh. Which I do think is ironic, because Haas just said in the last video we watched that he's struggling financially. I am not actually struggling financially. And the reason I'm not is because I have a variety of different funding sources for my work, and I'm very, very, very blessed that I have a community of active supporters who fund every single thing that I do, and I really appreciate it. You guys always step up when I need it. And so, I mean, I'm not rich or anything. I'm not going on expensive vacations. I fucking wish I was going on an expensive vacation. But I'm not struggling financially, and that's because of my support online. And so when I hear people like, the only thing that matters is YouTube views and Twitter retweets, I'm just like, you have no fucking idea how to build a business. You have no idea. You have no clue about what makes people successful. If you want to be a successful content creator, then yeah, I mean, sure, if you can get a ton of views, that's not necessarily I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but this mentality that you are only relevant and you are only successful if you have this specific metric is just not true, guys. It's just not true. I think about this often every time like people are talking about like YouTube views or something like that. When I was doing organizational consulting, I would consider it a really, 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 really good day to get in front of 1,000 people, to do a keynote talk at a conference in front of 1,000 people. That was a phenomenally successful day. If I did a conference talk, and this happened all the time, where maybe I only had 300 people in the audience, that was a phenomenally successful day. It is like if someone gets a YouTube video that only has 300 views, people are like, oh, that's a complete failure and blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, I built an entire business off of giving talks to rooms of people with 200 people in it, 300 people in it. On really good days, 1,000 people in the room. Those opportunities don't come around all the time for people that are working in the real world, but people who are doing social media, they have this impression that we need to get 10 million views in order to be successful. I mean, hey, listen, you'll make a lot of one-off money if you get a video that goes viral, you get 10 million views. It's nothing to sneeze at, but for the long term, you need to have steady, consistent support across a variety of platforms. And if you reach 1,000 people on a given day, that's a lot of fucking people, man. And the people who don't understand this are the people who you always know that these are the grifters. Like you want like that word gets thrown around a lot. I don't even like using it really. But the people who focus all their attention on how many views I got on Twitter, how many likes I got on Twitter, how many retweets I got on Twitter, how many views I got on YouTube, how many views you got on YouTube. You're failing because of this arbitrary metric that I created. They are always the people that end up struggling long term. Do you guys have any idea how many times I have been told over the years, you're failing, you're failing, you're failing, you're failing, you're failing, you're failing. Well, I'm a full-time content creator on the internet, and I have been for 5 years. And in those 5 years, a lot of people have come and a lot of people have gone. And the reason that I'm still here and I'm still creating content 6 days a week on the internet is because I have a consistent base with a higher disposable income than average that supports my work across a variety of different revenue streams. And so for me, it's never been about the retweets I get on Twitter. Twitter rarely converts into anything in real life. People understand that, right? Twitter very rarely converts into anything tangible in real life. Every once in a while, sure, you can get a nice payout. You can have something go viral that sends a lot of people to your content. Every once in a while, it can be a benefit. But on the vast majority of days, you don't get nothing from Twitter. You have to build up other areas. And so the people who focus all their attention on these arbitrary platforms and these arbitrary numbers without understanding how do I create a revenue model that is sustainable, they're always the ones that are going to end up failing.
Doing something, and this guy is nothing. He represents nothing. He's not doing anything except voicing over audiobooks and grifting off of that. And he has a Patreon. Oh, are you a worker? You have a Patreon, dude. Kind of sounds like to me that's petty bourgeois since everything's about your lifestyle, right? He's just grifting for his Patreon. Like, this is just shameless grifting. Every single top video on, he knows this. The only things people are interested in that he has to say is directing negative attention toward us, because clearly, you know, we are very divisive, and clearly there's an agenda against us. It's almost all but proven at this point. This is coming from feds. But we are something to talk about. That's more than can be said about this guy. The only reason we're covering him right now is because I'm defending the party, right? But we are something to talk about. This guy, everyone forgets he exists until he mentions our name. Remember, everyone forgets Socialism for All even exists or is alive until he releases a video with our name in it. That is the only way he can acquire relevance, and he can even be remembered and exist and be in people's head. It's really pathetic. Maybe if you formed your own successful party or joined a successful party and have results to show for anything, right? Making even an inch of progress in the direction of spreading proletarian consciousness, maybe people would take you seriously enough to actually watch your content earnestly and in large numbers without you having to mention us or ride our coattails, you loser.
To be communists, founded the American quote-unquote Communist Party. Prominent early members included Jimmy Dore regular Jackson Hinkle, quote-unquote MAGA communist infracell, members of the Midwestern Mussolini Institute, Chris Halali of the PCUSA, and assorted other characters who had previously been associating in the sort of LaRoucheite pseudo-Marxist thing that had been coalescing.
It gets exhausting because I spoke at Schiller's conference one time 2 years ago, or 3 years ago actually. It's all LaRouche.
For some time.
LaRouche is never mentioned in our party. I don't think he's never been mentioned once in our party journal, not even one time. Literally no relevance in our party at all. But it's all LaRouche. And by the way, not Michael Hudson. If anything, you'd call us Hudsonites. That would be very accurate, actually. Even though it's not officiated by the party as an official ideology. We are like followers of Michael Hudson. I mean, that is a thing, you know. But LaRouche is not.
We've been commenting on these people periodically over the last few years because it has been a disruptive influence for people trying to study and discuss Marxism-Leninism online. It took a lot of...
Yo. Don't worry. This lady, can everyone give this lady a round of applause? This is the lady in Portland that's been fighting back against Antifa in Portland, and she told them all to go fuck themselves, and she tried to sue the city in order to get the city to get Antifa to cut out the shit. This lady is a hero. Can everyone, I know you're on X, so maybe you can't see this. You can see it on the screen. Everyone, like, this lady is based, okay? So MAGA communism. MAGA communism is not a real thing. Don't worry about it. These are basically grifters off of, like, they're internet cloud chasers. And I know you said I don't have to answer. I will answer. This is we're doing a light stream today where we're making fun of people we don't like. These are not real communists. I'm doing this to demonstrate these people are not real communists. That's it. The American Communist Party is a joke. We don't need to worry about them. This lady actually knows who the real communists are. Oh man, she's the best.
It's a disruptive influence for people trying to study and discuss Marxism online. What about for people actually trying to form a communist party or join a communist party and actually do something? I'm sorry, but frankly speaking, Marxism is not this like thing from outer space. It's not like this ancient Egyptian incomprehensible.
Oh, by the way, because I'm seeing there are some Portland people in the chat. So Simona says she's in Portland. I don't know if you guys heard this. So I'm going to be doing a whole West Coast kind of like road trip. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to be stopping in Portland, mostly because it's on the way to Seattle. I know a bunch of people in Portland that I'd like to meet. So I may be making an appearance in the Portland area around mid-October, and I will keep everyone updated on that. So I'm planning, at least right now, and I do have to work out all the dates and I have to work out all the details, and so this might change, subject to change, but I'm planning stops in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Sacramento, Portland, Seattle, maybe. Okay. So everyone join the Substack. This is all the research stuff. This is not just like a fun road trip. I'm going because there's a lot of queer events happening in that time period in that area. There's anarchist book fairs. There's just a lot of crazy shit happening around that time period in that area. And so I'm trying to hit up as much stuff as I can, get as much research in as I can. I want to come back with just a suitcase full of propaganda and stuff like that. And so everyone keep that in mind, and I will have more information about that soon. And if you want to meet up with me, or if you would like to host me and give me a place to stay, that'd be really fucking great. I would really appreciate that. So let me know.
Hieroglyphics that you need the Rosetta Stone for. Marxism is there. It's not difficult to learn Marxism.
Hey,
it doesn't particularly...
Angel Eyes in with the channel memberships. Let's see who got a channel membership. Yasmin got one, of course. Tony got one. Kev got one. Donna got one. AP got one. Congratulations to everyone who got a channel membership, courtesy of Angel Eyes. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, Simona, we can hang out. It's all good, girl.
Take a long time either. Not nearly as much time as these people are claiming they need to actually get off their fucking ass and do something. Okay? Marxism is there. China's here. Or he doesn't believe that. That's fine. There's already a precedent for a communist and Marxist tradition. Okay? Get off your fucking ass and do something. You want to discuss it online. For how long do you plan on discussing it online before you get off your fucking ass and actually do something? Excuse my French. It's not good for the algorithm.
People by surprise that they would actually attempt to form a party, given the complete lack of real-world managerial or people skills. But as Infracell is one of the main drivers of this thing, and his channel's popularity has been leveling off quite a bit in the last year, so I don't know, maybe an effort to pump up the numbers had something to do with it.
Yeah, I'm actually in touch with some of the people who are covering the ICE protests. And so I've actually, hopefully that's part of the reason I want to go out there, is there's a bunch of people out there I actually want to connect with. And so hopefully I will be making an appearance. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
This is another recurring theme throughout his video. I'm going to be calm. I'm not going to swear. I'm not going to get angry, but it's just such a reckless disregard for basic facts that he doesn't know that I clearly don't upload to him. My channel is falling off because I don't upload to it. Because with exceptions to like high-level appearances maybe that I want to upload, I do not regularly upload the channel, and I am not currently pursuing a strategy of growing my YouTube channel, and I haven't been doing that since Jackson got banned, which signaled to me very clearly that if I invested so much energy and effort in the channel, eventually I would get banned too, so it's just kind of pointless. I'd rather just keep everything I have and recurringly, maybe every once in a while, every few months, maybe upload to the channel. But it's just such a profound level of ignorance. I'm starting the ACP started because my channel fell off. The planning for the ACP happened 2 years ago, and that was actually at the peak of my regular when the channel was actually a source of income for me that I used to live stream every single day on. Okay, that's when the idea of the party came to be. As you guys can see here, I'm not streaming to the YouTube channel. I stream to Kick, and I have been for 2 years. Okay, my YouTube channel not growing is a consequence of me not doing anything on it, really. By the way, I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure that the last 3 or 4 videos I did upload did pretty well, actually. Yeah, but it's just, look, I hate Philistinism. I hate this ignorance where it's like, because YouTube is your thing, which you're not good at, by the way, because you get about 100 views per video that's actually yours. But because YouTube is your thing, you assume it's my thing too. You know, you assume that everyone is like trying to do what you're doing, which is to pop off and become a YouTube celebrity. When it's clear I don't care that much about the YouTube right now. Maybe in the future that will change. But look at how funny this is. Like, almost all my effort has been on X. this time period, which is over the course of the year,
That's like one of the dumbest decisions he's ever made. Imagine putting your trust and faith in X as a platform. How fucking stupid do you have to be? I understand you might have some good paydays on X. Like certainly there have been a few times when I've gotten an X paycheck and I'm like, okay, well, that's actually not too bad. But it's just like, to put all of your energy into building out your Twitter platform, when you can get banned for any reason on Twitter at any moment. There's no appeal process. Their customer service sucks. They don't actually care about their users. They fucking hate their users. They hate their users just as much under Elon Musk as they did before that. It's just like a dumb idea, man.
X account grew 3 times. I'm at 100,000 now, and 100,000, and I started at what? 20. I got unbanned. I had 20,000. Now I'm at 100,000 on X. I don't know what to say. You know, my kick streams have been the same. You know, no, I don't know what this guy's implying. You know, when the ACP, when the idea for it was in the works, I was making more money at that time than at any point in my career as a live streamer and as a content creator. So this idea that the ACP was created because of trying to pump my YouTube channel. No. This is the cherry on top. I feel bad for this guy because he's literally dead right now, and I'm just beating a dead horse with a stick. Like, Socialism for All is on the ground right now, and he is being savagely beaten, even though he's already dead. Okay? And I feel kind of bad.
Haz, if that was true, then you wouldn't be doing this video at all. I mean, just provably. Listen, I know a Jewish faggot named Mike Harlow. Obviously, I should never have used the word faggot. Obviously, disavow. That was horrible of me. I would never do that in real life. He's absolutely Jewish, though. Anyway, the most successful thing that Mike Harlow, walking piece of human garbage, has ever done is a video about me. It's the most successful piece of content he's ever created. The most successful thing he's ever done in his sad, pathetic life, where he goes to conservative events to try to seduce straight conservative men to fuck him. The most successful thing he's ever done is a smear campaign against me, which involved doxing my college boyfriend to get to me, and then producing a video about me and all the reasons he doesn't like me. Mike Harlow is irrelevant. Mike Harlow never produces anything of value. Mike Harlow's YouTube channel has been dead for years. Mike Harlow barely creates any content on the internet. And so even though Mike Harlow was very successful at defaming me and producing a video where he complained about me, I've never responded to that video. I've never even watched that video. I've never watched it privately. I've never watched it publicly. Because quite frankly, Mike Harlow is irrelevant. He will always be irrelevant because he's not capable of doing anything other than smearing people and causing bullshit on the internet. And so when Haz is like, Socialism for All is totally dead, and I don't even know why I'm doing this because it is so dead. It is punching down. It's like, Haz, you don't actually need to do this. You know, you don't actually need to do it. I have never had any desire to do a response video to Mike Harlow, not even when it came out originally. I've never had any desire to even watch it in private because why on earth would I watch someone shitting on me? Like, that just makes no sense. So you don't actually have to do a 3.5-hour response video. You can, but if you do a 3.5-hour response video, then you have to admit that on some level they're relevant.
But haven't you noticed how I've uploaded almost, I think, no ACP-related content on the Infrared channel? Since ACP launched, I have uploaded content on my channel, but not ACP-related content. If I was trying, if I agreed to form a party because I needed it to grow my channel. Why haven't I been uploading any ACP-related content to the Infrared YouTube channel? I want to know what his response to that is. I want this guy to be strapped to a chair, and I want him to be forced to respond to that basic line of reasoning directly. And what he'll do is he'll make a snide comment that's unrelated. I'm not going to swear because of the algorithm. You messed up big time, buddy, making this stupid argument. You look really stupid. Everyone sees how stupid you look. You should quit. We haven't even gotten into this. And this guy has been destroyed. He is on the ground, unconscious and dead. And he's still getting beaten with sticks. Does anyone see how, like, profoundly stupid what he just said is? That ACP formed for my YouTube channel, and I haven't even uploaded any ACP-related content on my YouTube channel since the party launched. And we started a separate ACP YouTube channel unrelated to Infrared. Please tell me how this guy will ever make another video again without being embarrassed and ashamed. And everyone can make mistakes. Mistakes are fine. But he's coming from a place of malice. He's trying to malign my reputation. He's trying to make me look bad. And look how stupid he looks. Look how abjectly stupid this guy looks.
But in any case, these people...
We haven't even made it past the intro, by the way.
Who seem to be dedicated to shitcoding communism in the face of a looming massive crisis of global capitalism seem to have suffered a public setback last week, or maybe their handlers are just looking for a new...
By the way, this video is very outdated, if you couldn't tell. It was released before Saturday. So he's saying we suffered a massive setback because this was released before Saturday. I'm not sure if this guy would have uploaded this video after Saturday.
What happened?
So, yeah. So much for a setback, by the way.
Public face of...
By the way, Kyle's thread is standing by this morning, I checked this morning, at 500,000 views. Danny's thread got 250,000 views. We already have double the impressions and double the attention
that doesn't mean
than that
anything.
original hit job by Danny got. So I don't know what a setback is, if that was a setback.
Russian fascist Alexander Dugin, the Lyndon LaRouche connections, and the...
Yeah, the LaRouche connections being that me and Jackson spoke at the Schiller Institute conference one time. And by the way, never mind the content of our speech where I talk about, you know, the international proletariat and stuff. Who cares, right? And I talked about South Africa and the EFF and things that they didn't agree with at all.
Schiller Institute connections, the kind of neo-Browderist patriotic socialism stuff, the bigotry, the anti-LGBTQ+, the anti-woman stuff. It just really went on and on. As I mentioned, Infracell was already known for this. Jackson Hinkle, also a Jimmy Dore regular, and definitely in that vein. Chris Alali having been a member of the NASBAL PCUSA, which did a lot of the same stuff. In particular, Danny Shaw, who is a sociology professor in the City University of New York system, wrote 3 articles titled To All of My Comrades in the American Communist Party on the cultishness and liberalism of Ali Haz Hamoud and the Haz al-Din ACP cult through the lens of traumatizing narcissism, in which he goes into a lot of detail about the kind of horribly toxic shit going on in these groups. Although,
hold on, but how do you know it's true? How do you know that's true? How do you know there's horrible, toxic anything going on? Because he said so? But this is the guy... Oh, I'm sorry. This video was released before Saturday. My bad. He wasn't presented with literal, indisputable proof that Shaw is a liar and a malicious, bad faith actor.
Really, anybody joining this group with the kind of past and associations that the co-founders had, I mean, I don't know really what you were expecting or how you're going to make it better when most of the people were attracted to it because of, not in spite of, its revisionist, basically anti-communist orientation. We had covered in a video a few months ago about how Infracell during one of the streams was instructing the ACP chapters that they needed to be businesses generating revenue and that they were going to leave it up to them. All
right. So here's what Lenin said. This guy does audiobooks about Lenin. But he knows nothing for some reason. I guess he just knows how to read, kind of, but he doesn't actually have knowledge of the canon of literature he has made his entire channel about, apparently. Here's what Lenin said. It's time to take steps to establish local economic strong points. Restaurants, tea rooms, beer halls, libraries, reading rooms, shooting galleries, maintained by party members. You know, because if you're employed by a non-party people or whatever, you can get persecuted by them. You need independent bases because resources don't fall out of the sky. I don't understand. This was the argument I never quite understood. Like, this idiot talks about surplus value as if that has an immediate significance for parties needing to get resources and generate revenues, which they absolutely need to be functioning organizations and have always needed, by the way. Parties setting up businesses, communist parties setting up businesses is literally an international norm for communist parties around the world, okay? I never understood this criticism that they're trying to make. Like, do you think you're just going to enact a communist society in your own lifestyle and somehow win? How does that make sense? Because I go to the grocery store and I use exchange value to eat, even when I go to the grocery store, that means I'm like tainted by the capitalist system. What are you talking about? What are you talking? Of course you need money if you're a communist party. You think resources fall out of the sky and you could just create a utopia like automatically somehow? And this guy doesn't even know about surplus value, by the way, because since when does renting property generate surplus value, by the way? He mentions that for no reason. Additionally, he doesn't understand the aggregate. Surplus value is something aggregate. It's not something strictly local. A business can generate profit without generating any surplus value. Marx is very clear about that. But, I mean, it's not like that's relevant because Frederick Engels owned a factory. It is absolutely not out of the ordinary for communists to have owned businesses, even if the relations of production within those businesses were antithetical to what they foresaw as a future mode of production taking shape. That just because you are correctly anticipating that capitalism is going to transition into a higher mode of production after a proletarian dictatorship, just because you can correctly anticipate that right now, doesn't absolve you from the responsibility of actually responding to and existing within the society that exists now. Okay?
Bro. No. Mm-mm. I don't know what you're watching and what you're interacting with that you think the American Communist Party seems grounded, but you need to stop watching whatever you're watching because it is fundamentally unhinging you from reality. There is no universe in which this is grounded behavior. There's no universe in which the members of this party, shitposting all over the internet, are acting in a way that's grounded. They're acting like unhinged retards. And, you know, unhinged retards can spin up a lot of social media content, but do unhinged retards ever build anything real? No.
And of course, and that's why I say, of course, you should abide by the norms and ethical guidelines, basic norms and ethical guidelines. I don't think communists, for example, have the right to generate money in any possible way. I think it should be in conformity with what people regard as ethical in the society we live in right now. Marxism is not trying to somehow like abruptly change that voluntarily right now. They are correctly anticipating that we are witnessing a breakdown of the current mode of production and that a new one is coming in from the distance, right? That has nothing to do, that has no immediate binding, like incumbent significance as far as how economically you need to survive. You don't drop everything and just suddenly isolate yourself from society. I would love to know how a party has revenue without being tainted by capitalism somehow. It makes no sense.
What kind of businesses they were to become, and that the national leadership was going to tax them once they started generating revenue. Why?
And what's wrong? Hold on. Everything, all of the expenses, as far as events have been concerned, as far as building up the parties like its launch is concerned, as well as so many other outstanding financial needs of leadership, and the Central Party has been out of pocket. We've just been paying for that out of pocket. We've collected nothing from the party. Chapters are also funding their stuff out of pocket. Our party is not a wealthy party with millions at its disposal like the PSL. We don't have wealthy benefactors. And genuinely, in good faith, like, how does this guy think a party can just generate the revenue that's necessary to even subsist and continue existing without actually partaking in economic activity? Yes, we have expenses at the center that we absolutely need to cover. We are the ones responsible for events. We are the ones responsible for organizing national initiatives. All of the travel expenses of the international department, for example, are out of pocket right now. We do foresee a future in which Kyle works full time for free, and it is a job. But make no mistake, it is a job. I am the person, maybe besides Jackson, who is the most economically secure. But even though it's a full-time job for me as chairman, I can manage. But notice how generous and reasonable the financial plan for the party is, though. Once chapters are up and running and are capable of funding themselves and making a living off of what they do, once they can start making profits, rather than just cover expenses both for themselves and their capital, of course, some of it needs to go to the center. Contrast that to parties that exist now, which say...
Okay. Let me break this down. Hawes just said individual chapters need to be responsible for bringing in a certain amount of money to fund their operations, and when there is a surplus in that money, they need to send it to the main organization. There is not a single real communist group in the country who would ever say or do this. I promise you, there is not a single fucking real communist group in the country who would ever say that individual chapters need to form ways to make as much capital as possible and then pass that capital up to the main organization. That would not happen. In fact, to take as an example, the Democratic Socialists of America. The Democratic Socialists of America on the national level right now, they have a phone banking program where the national organization is having members call around to other members and asking them for money, essentially. And so the money goes into the national organization's pot, and then the national organization distributes the money to all of the DSA members that are running for local office, or like as many as they can. They pick like 5 different DSA members every single month. They raise money for those people to fund their local races, stuff like that. So other communist parties, or socialist in this case, the money is being generated at the top level of the organization, and then it flows down to the other parties. What Hawes is saying is, we are expecting all of our little satellite groups to basically create petty bourgeois business. This is the petit bourgeois, Hawes. I mean, if we're being honest. We are expecting our local chapters to operate as petty bourgeois and then send money up to the top. Very hierarchical, Hawes.
Everyone immediately needs to fund the leadership now, which we aren't doing. I don't know why that's like scandalous, or I don't know why that's like
because it's not
controversial. I don't know why that's
all.
like contentious in any kind of way. I don't get it. How is it okay for other parties to live off of their membership, their cadre,
Other parties don't live off their membership. Well, okay, so how other parties generate membership is people pay dues to the party. The Revolutionary Communists of America have kind of like this honor system where like you pay 1 to 2 days wages per month to the party to be a member of the party. You get all sorts of newsletters and stickers and things to hand out and stuff like that. The DSA, like you might be able to join your local DSA for like $5 a month or something. They take all those dues, and that is the money that the party has to work with. But there's no but like, okay, so in the DSA there's the national chapter there's the national DSA that you can join. You can also join your local chapter. There is no reality in which, say, the New York City DSA, which has a fuck ton of money, the New York City DSA is raising minimally $50,000 a month, and that's a very conservative estimate. I actually think they're probably raising closer to $100,000 a month in dues. Let me just do some math real quick. Hang on. We're going to play a game called Fun with Math. No, I think it is actually, I take that back. I think I'm going to go with the conservative $50,000. So there are at least 5,000 members, dues-paying members of the DSA in New York City. The average dues are going to be about, oh, actually, no, I'm right. Never mind. I'm right. So there are at least 5,000 members in the DSA in New York City, and they're growing very rapidly. The average dues that you pay per member in New York City is $15 a month. 5,000 members times $15,000 a month is $75,000 a month. As a conservative estimate. Okay? There is no universe in which the DSA in New York City is passing that money up to the national DSA. That's not happening.
But we are actually, when you think about it, like what we're proposing is literally for the cadre to be able to like live off of the party themselves so that they could work and do this. And they won't have, just like Lenin said, so they won't have to be subjected to the whims and fancies of their employers.
Why? Not to build infrastructure, but just because, quote, we brought you together. Okay, definitely not suspicious. Also,
how is that suspicious? How is it suspicious at all that we are connecting?
Because literally no other communist party does this.
The center is necessary for chapters. Chapters rely on the center to be part of the network and to be coordinated and aligned with all the other chapters in the country.
Actually, no, they don't.
I mean, what is so like contentious about that? I don't understand.
When asked point blank,
that is not how any other communist group in this country organizes. I'm sorry. They're all decentralized. And sometimes they might come together to create like a central collective. The Firebrand Collective is actually a really good example of this. In the Firebrand Collective, you have organizations like the Denver Communists, like the Boston Revolutionary Socialists, like the Seattle Revolutionary Socialists. I think they have a New York City chapter. I think they have a chapter in Florida. Like, you have all of these dispersed like revolutionary communist groups. They're all operating independently, and then they all said, hey, maybe we should start talking to each other, and they came and they formed a central collective organization where they're talking with each other and coordinating and that sort of stuff. It's not one of those things, though, where you now report to the central organization and you owe the central organization money. No, it's not like that at all. And so what Hawes is proposing, what Hawes is talking about, is a completely different model than any other communist and socialist groups, the serious ones, are using. And he would know that had he actually spent any time learning about the left at all, but apparently he's just been a bullshit streamer for years and years and years. This is a joke, guys. This is a joke. I can't do anymore. This is a joke. This is a joke. This is not real. And you know what? I've got some projects I want to work on. So I feel like I have successfully, I feel like I watched 2 different videos from the American Communist Party. I feel like I watched Hawes respond to his detractors. And, I know I didn't really make it that far into either video because, quite frankly, Hawes is doing a really bad job. Like, this is not entertaining. He's being ridiculous. He obviously doesn't understand leftist activism in the United States. I mean, I feel for the guy. He's only 28 years old. I thought he was well into his 30s, if I'm being honest about it. So I gave him more credit than he probably deserved for life experience and stuff like that. But, like, this is sad. It's sad. He doesn't talk like a socialist. His audience doesn't act like socialists. They act like unhinged clout-chasing internet retards. There is no correlation between these people and real leftist activism. I'm sorry, there's just not. And I understand that many people on the internet are fooled by people who create a large platform. I understand that people on the internet can be fooled by people when they're getting lots of like Twitter retweets and stuff like that, or they're getting social media likes. But I learned a long time ago that social media clout doesn't mean a whole lot of nothing. And I think this is one of those cases where it's a smokescreen of bullshit, and it always has been. And they're not real communists, and they're not respected as real communists. And I don't really have anything else I want to say about it. I think I'm done. I think I'm done for the day. I think I'm done. So I want to remind everyone that we do movie nights in the supporter Discord Monday nights at 9 p.m. So there's going to be a movie playing in my supporter Discord coming up in about an hour and a half. I believe Mac B tonight is showing Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, which is a great movie and a fun movie. And so please make sure you're in the supporter Discord, guys. How do you get in the supporter Discord? Head over to my Substack. That is Karlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. When you're over there, you want to click on the chat function. The chat function is going to open the community chat. In the community chat, if you are a supporter on the Substack for $8 a month or $80 a year, you will find the link to join the supporter Discord that I sent out last night. Click on the link, go to the Discord, get verified, join MacB and Company for movie night at 9 p.m. to watch Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and that'll be great. That's all I have. I'm headed out. I'm going to go do some work. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. I'll see you at 5 p.m. tomorrow. Take care. We'll see you soon. Bye.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.